I'm looking forward to the All-Star game on Tuesday, but it always has a way of reminding me that July is about to end, and the fall semester is just around the corner. Hey everybody, it's CIT 12, this is week 4, and that means that we're already past the halfway point in the class. So let's get into what we need to do this week. Stick around to the end or just fast forward to the end because I'm going to have some advice on the practical exam for Excel. First thing is we're covering 2 chapters like normal, Chapter 6 and Chapter 7. Chapter 6 is all about understanding and assessing hardware. I've got a lecture video in the week 4 folder that should hopefully make that a little bit more practical. It just talks about buying a computer slash tablet slash smartphone slash whatever. And so take a look at that. It talks a little bit about the trade-offs that you make when you go from one type of computer to another, as well as some of the sort of central concepts that you may see when you get flooded with that wall of numbers. Chapter 7 is about networking. Networking is a big chapter. The reason I say that is because networking is a big source of, I guess, careers for students. There's a lot of people who want to end up sort of pursuing networking as a career. Pretty much any business in town that has more than a couple dozen employees is going to have somebody who's dedicated to doing networking and IT style work there at the office, or they're going to hire a company that has a whole bunch of IT people to do it for them. Either way, there are lots of jobs in networking here in town and all over. It's one of those things where if you want to work in the public sector and you want to, work in the education system, there are IT people there. There are IT people in hospitals. There are IT people in the entertainment industry. There are IT people in the video game industry. There are IT people everywhere. So whatever industry you want to work in, chances are IT could be a way of getting into that industry. Needless to say, they're nice jobs. They tend to pay fairly well. Check out chapters 6 and 7 and 2 quizzes on each of the one quiz on each of the chapters, 2 quizzes total, like normal. Your discussion for this week is going to be to investigate something that's usually kind of invisible to you. You've got sort of 2 steps to it. The first step is there's a video embedded right in the week 4 folder that is all about routing. So routing is how you get the little packets of information from your computer to wherever in the world they're going and how those packets get back. How do you sort of shuffle packets across the internet? You're not making a direct connection to Amazon.com when you type Amazon.com into your browser. That's just not the way the internet works. And in fact, if it was the way it worked, the internet would be a lot slower and a lot less reliable. Instead, it's way more complicated, and it actually makes it faster and more reliable. So check out that video on routing to kind of see how the actual electric signals from your computer get passed around the world to get to whatever website you're choosing to go to. Now there's a second step, which is going to a website called yougetsignal.com. It's some guy in Australia. He just created a bunch of tools. And we're going to use one of those tools. It's called Visual Traceroute. What that allows you to do is to type in the name of a server, like Amazon.com. Or if you want to be really adventurous, do something like bbc.co.uk or sony.co.jp, something that is an international website, right? Although just because it's an international website doesn't mean that it's hosted internationally. A lot of international websites are actually hosted right here in the US. But regardless, you type in the little thing and you hit proxy trace, and then you'll actually see the route that your packets are taking to go from your computer to that server. You'll also see where that server is located, how many milliseconds each step took. There's a bunch of information you can get from it, but it's a way of actually visually seeing how signals go from your computer to a remote server. It's not something you normally get to see, and so I just wanted you to have that experience. Your discussion is honestly kind of a light discussion, but kind of a nice experience, so just choose a site and give us your observations. One of the things you'll notice is that the way packets travel from place to place has no bearing on where those places are physically located, right? If you took a flight that had all of these jags and going from one place to another, you'd be very upset, right? But that happens on the internet all the time. And it's just because, hey, you know, we've got this really big fiber cable, it's super fast, and there's not a lot of traffic on it. And so the direct route might actually be the slower route. Might actually be better off for your packets to go up to Canada before they go down to San Francisco. Happens all the time. And so it's interesting to check out. Also interesting when we get to the security chapter. Just because you're going to a site here in the US doesn't mean that your signals don't always cross borders and go into other countries. We'll talk about that some other day. Point being, play around with visual trace route, see the video on routing, and have that experience and share. Hey, did this make sense to you? Did this seem like it just went way too far, way out of the way that you would normally think to go if you're just sending a packet to San Francisco? All right. Put your observations in, make sure to comment on somebody else's, although I will say from past semesters, most of the comments end up being on what site the other person chose. So that's fine. And then finally, there's your Excel practical exam. Your practical exam for Excel is a lot like your practical exam for Word, except that it's for Excel. You'll be downloading some files, one of which will be a set of instructions, and then you'll get an Excel file. You'll follow the instructions and make changes to that Excel file. You may have to import stuff from another file, so you may have some, like a third or fourth file there for you. But then once you're done, you take that Excel file, you upload it, everything gets graded automatically, and then I have to check the grading, etc. So Excel Practical works sort of functionally just like the Word Practical, except in Excel. I've got a video showing you how to do the process. Again, it's similar, but if you want kind of help getting through the first question, that video will have that hint kind of getting you through the first step. Also, if you don't have Office, just as a reminder, I put the video in the week 4 folder again as well. Just showing you can get Office for free as a student at Fresno City College. It's got the steps in there, so don't go out and purchase Excel. You get it for free as a student. Just use that version on your home computer. Some advice. Number 1, try to work in order. Do that for all the practicals. Try to do the steps in the order that they appear. But with Word, if you do something down here with the name badges and then you go back up and you work on the resume a little bit, it really doesn't matter that much, right? With Excel, it matters more because if you think about Excel, you're creating formulas that are based on numbers and maybe formulas that appear before it. So if you don't do step 3 and you move to step 5, you may not see what you expect to see because you didn't do step 4 or 3 yet, right? Because those numbers are based on numbers that come before them, it really makes sense to go in order for the Excel practical, more so than other practicals that we do. Next thing, there is a system in my IT lab to ensure that you don't cheat. So do not share files with other people and do not copy and paste from other people. This is an online class. I technically can't keep you from working together. There's no way that I can prove that, right? If you want to help somebody out and tell them what to do and kind of help them through the process, that's your ability to do that. I again can't enforce that. But if you copy files or you copy and paste from files, I can tell that. So don't do that. The only other thing is you're going to see a model just like you did for Word. It's kind of what the document should look like when you're done. Don't use that and think, oh, well then if I just type in the numbers where they appear in the model, then I'll get credit. You won't get credit. The computer is actually scoring you based on the formulas, not on the numbers that appear in the cell. So yeah, don't just type in the numbers. You actually need to be able to put in the formulas where they belong and copy and paste accordingly within the file. And so that's it. Yeah, Excel Practical. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. And that's week 4. I know that I've said it somewhere else in another video, but Excel is the hardest thing we do all semester. After this week, you are done with Excel entirely, and we move on to PowerPoint, which most students say is the easiest of all the 3 programs that you learn. So needless to say, from this point forward, it gets a little bit easier. So stick with it this week. Get that Excel Practical done. I know it's hard. I know everything is condensed, but yeah, If you have any questions, email me, and I'll see you online.